This is a very unique situation. Hey guys, I'm Keen947 aka Wolfkeen, and welcome back to another edition of Wolfkeen's Thoughts. Today in Wolfkeen's Thoughts, I'm basically talking about the whole idea that Payday 2 DLC development has been basically restarted, and they're actually going to be working on their first new DLC for the game Payday 2. Now, to some of y'all, this might be like, wait a minute, didn't they say at one point that they weren't going to do paid DLC anymore and that all content will be free? Or, wait a minute, they just finished up the storyline for Payday 2. How can they do new DLC and yada yada yada? On both of those, I see two arguments. I see two sides of the coin. On one hand, I see people saying that this is basically the same thing as Crime Fest 2015, where Overkill made a promise and decided to lie and basically backtracked on it. On the other hand, I also see the other side of the coin, which is basically that Overkill and Starbreeze went through reconstruction and basically are trying to earn some kind of money to get themselves out of the hole that they ended up in due to their previous, CEO, Bo Anderson. If you want to know the full story about what went on with Overkill and Starbreeze when it comes to the reconstruction and all that kind of stuff, I'd recommend checking out Red Archer Live's video. Link will be in the description, but he does a very good comprehensive discussion about everything that happened leading up to the reconstruction, leading to Bo Anderson leaving the company, and various other things of that nature. I'm going to summarize certain things, but I would say if you want to know the full story, go check out Red Archer Live's video. But to summarize things, basically he stepped down as CEO, but not after saying things like blaming the company for basically saying things like the company wasn't as ambitious as me, because he got involved in a lot of projects, like trying to get his hands on the Valhalla engine, which only turned out to be like the source of it. Then, of course, trying to release Overkill's The Walking Dead in a half-baked, terrible state, and then promise new content later, and basically various other things that Bo Anderson tried to get involved with, like VR cafes, which led to basically Starbreeze and Overkill bleeding so much money that when Bo did eventually step down, it led to them going into reconstruction. This is where we currently find Overkill and Starbreeze as of now. They've just gotten out of reconstruction, at least I believe they have, and now they're kind of in a really tight situation. Overkill's The Walking Dead has been delisted from the Steam store, so there's no way you could buy that game, but then again, why would you? And not to mention, they really have no kind of revenue coming in anymore. They have a new CEO who was very transparent about why they're making new DLC for Payday 2, but they're in a pretty bad situation in terms of money and otherwise, and unless they do something soon, I wouldn't be surprised if the next thing we see is Overkill Starbreeze goes bankrupt, and I really don't want that. Payday 2 is one of those games that really there isn't anything else like it. There really isn't any other kind of co-op based bank heist simulator / heisting simulator. You could say that Grand Theft Auto 5 has this with the heists, but I would disagree on this on many levels, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Payday 2 really is one of those games that is one of a kind, along with Payday the Heist, I would say as well, because both games, while they are starkly different compared to each other, they're still unique experiences that you'll have fun with. So I'm actually one of the people that feel like them making new DLC for Payday 2 after everything that's happened, I can understand people being upset about this, and I can understand people not wanting to support this because it feels like them backtracking on another promise. But when you really dig deep into the situation that they ended up in thanks to Bo Anderson, if you really dig deep into everything that's happened within the company and otherwise, you kind of can understand why they have to do this. Payday 2 is their main game. Payday 2 was their big moneymaker. The reason why they stopped making new content, or they stopped making paid content for Payday 2, was because they were making so much money at the time that they could get away with it. Now they can't. Now they're barely making any money, and they have no real projects out the door besides Payday 2 because, again, Overkill's The Walking Dead is not even on Steam anymore. So it stands to reason that making new paid content for Payday 2 would help them get back there, would start bringing back a revenue, especially considering that they've, one, are now selling DLC separately, two, are now going to be selling Payday 2 Ultimate Edition as the Legacy Collection since they plan to do new DLC, and three, there's going to be a mixture of paid DLC and free DLC, so sort of like what we've gotten before with certain events and otherwise, so I'm not completely against this. And not to mention, we have the idea that they want to get to work and finish Payday 3 by 2022 or 2023, so they are working on the next Payday game, It's just that they need to start earning some money for the company before something bad happens and they end up going under for good, killing the prospect of Payday 3. Me, personally speaking, like I said, I understand if people are completely against this, but I also understand it. This is a big damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I'm glad the CEO was at least, like, transparent with all this, making it clear that, yeah, we're doing this because we have no real money, and yeah, we're doing this because we got out of reconstruction. I'm at least glad they were transparent about that, because if they tried to sugarcoat it like they did in 2015, they would just be seen as greedy companies, and we already have enough of those in today's day and age if we're being honest. So yeah, we're at a point now where Payday 2 is starting up production for DLC. Here's the tricky part though. Payday 2's story is over. They really can't add new characters because then it would contradict the end of the story, and they really can't add new heists because it would also contradict the end of the story. So this leads to the situation of how can they add new content to the game? Well, many ideas that have been spun around, one being by Red Archer Live that I completely agree with, is make these heists in between. Make them in between heists that have no real connection to the main plot, or make them non-canonical. Like make them something that that might have happened, but in fact didn't. And along with that, weapon DLC are fair game. I don't think there's anything wrong with adding weapon DLC to the game because that wouldn't break any kind of canon or story in any kind of way. But characters or heists after the story is over would break that, and that's the big balancing act that Overkill and that Overkill need to be careful of. I'll say it like this. It is a bit weird that they're starting up DLC again after they said that they don't need to do it anymore. But considering the situation that they ended up in due to their previous CEO and where they're currently at now, I inherently don't blame them. They need to make money. They need to get themselves out of this situation that they're in, especially if they want to make the next Payday game, which a lot of people really want it to be good. People really want Payday 3 to be a thing, and people really want it to be enjoyable. So, this leads us to the current situation we see ourselves in. Can they make the DLC enticing enough and good enough to not only bring back old players, but to bring back new players to support this? We'll see. Only time will tell. Everybody's going to have their stance on this entire situation. Though, I'm going to say this right now, at least both sides of the coin. Both sides of the coin, hear me out on this one. I'm going to be following this mantra when it comes to Overkill and Starbreeze when it comes to Payday 2's new content. Give them enough rope to either hang or help themselves. If they prove that this stuff is genuine and they prove that it's quality and it's worth the money, I say support it and give them the chance that they deserve, because I don't think it's fair to punish the entire company for someone else's misgivings and stupid actions. But if they continue these stupid actions after the previous CEO has left, then I hate to say it, but they deserve the path that they're going down. So that's why I say give the person enough rope to either hang or help themselves. Only time will tell which path Overkill and Starbreeze picks. And with that said, what do you think about my thoughts on Payday 2 starting back up its DLC production? Disagree with what I say? Have your own opinion? Go ahead and leave your comments down below and we'll discuss it in the comment section. I'm still making a few changes to the Patreon and I'll make a proper video when that is all said and done. And there's a few things I want to make changes to the main channel as well, but like I said, I'll make a proper video on that later down the line. So until next time guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time guys, take care.